guys, welcome back to my channel, Rewind That. It's your girl, Miss K. If this is your first time joining me, welcome, and be sure to hit that subscribe button so you can enjoy more videos like this one. All right, so tonight we're going to be going over episode number 4 of The Oval, called Rats Can Smell Poison. All right, so let's get right into it. So the scene opens up pretty much where we left off, where Richard and Barry were tussling over the gun. And if you saw my video last week, I did make a mention that a lot of times in movies and shows, they do this typical thing. Like, it's so predictable where two characters are fighting over a gun, right? And then it goes off and one of them gets shot. If you watched Power, you saw it happen with Tasha and Lakeisha. And just the list goes on of shows that it's happened in and movies. So anyway, thankfully though, the gun did go off, but it did not shoot Barry or Richard, right? But it went through the door. Unfortunately though, there was a woman screaming, "Oh, they shot him, they shot him." So it does sound like an innocent bystander got shot, but they didn't show who it was, or they didn't show the victim or anything like that. Not sure what's going to happen with that, if that's going to resurface or anything and cause more trouble for the family. But we didn't hear anything about that for the rest of this episode. Okay, so let's move on. So next we have Victoria and Hunter, and they're in their bedroom and they're going back and forth with the insults as usual. So Hunter asks, "How is Gayle doing?" And Victoria's being all sarcastic, like, "Oh, well, you know, you're the concerned father," and all this stuff. But anyway, long story short, he goes and tells Gayle the boy is going to pay for what he did to my daughter. And so, you know, Victoria, she's kind of like brushing it off because she knows that Gayle lied. Okay, but this is information that she didn't share with Hunter for some reason. I don't know. Anyway, so Hunter says, you're really not worried about Gayle. And she says, "No." And he said, "You were one evil reptile," or whatever he said. Was it a reptile? He said, you are the coldest reptile I know or I've ever met." And so they continue with their insults and yada yada. And then he walks off and goes into the bathroom, and she's like, looks like she's on Instagram or some type of social media, and she sees Hunter's mistress and she's posting like where she is, you know what I'm saying? And so then Victoria, she makes a phone call saying, "Oh, I want to go to the mall." So I think she's going to try to run into the mistress at the mall because, like I said, the mistress seems to be posting all her whereabouts, you know. Anyway, so next we have Barry, who goes home and he tells his mother and girlfriend that he did not find Callie and they need to go to the court to file a complaint or file a missing person report. And Sharon tells him that she has to go to work, and Barry starts in on her like, "Oh, you got to go to work? How you going to go to work when my daughter's missing and this and that?" And so he just starts acting nasty towards her, and the mother's like, "Listen, this is my fault. I don't want to drive a wedge between you guys. You know, I don't want this to make you guys grow apart or anything like that, because it's something that I did, you know." And so she's like, "I need the keys to get to work," and Sharon saying that. And then Barry's like, "No, I need my car." You know, he being real petty. "I need my car." So the mother says, "Here, take my car." So Sharon goes and she goes to work. All right. Next we have Don and Lily. They're talking at home, and Lily gets a call from Victoria, who wants Lily to go shopping with her. So Lily agrees to go shopping. You know, she was a little caught off guard by the phone call from Victoria, but she agrees. And then after that phone call, she starts asking Don once again, what's going on with Bobby? Like, she just can't let it go about Bobby. And Don is telling her, "You really need to let this go, okay?" And that was that. So then back at the White House, the maid, Jean, she's cleaning, you know, something. But first she took a tray from in front of the door. We find out that it was in front of Gayle's door, and Gayle didn't eat. So she took the tray, and then she takes a napkin and she goes over to like some type of sitting area, and she's wiping something off the floor, and you just see this naked guy walking by in the hallway, and that was Jason. And I'm like, I knew, and I said this to you guys, this kid is creepy. I'm telling you, you gotta watch him. I hope he doesn't wind up raping Jean or whatever. But more and more, it's showing like his really creepy side. And I think he might have some kind of he has some type of mental issues or something, I believe. He's got that predatory type of he's a sexual predator. He shows that type of sexually predatory type of behavior. And so I'm definitely keeping an eye on that. And I'm telling you guys, something's going to go on, I think, with him and Jean, because he likes her. And I do believe he's going to try something with her inappropriate. So then we have Jean called up to Jason's room. And he's like, oh, I need mouthwash. And she's like, okay, let me go see if I could get you some. And he's like, no, I want you to go check in my bathroom for the mouthwash. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, you can go in your own bathroom and check to see if you have mouthwash. So anyway, she's in there. She goes and checks, and she finds a mouthwash in the bathroom. And she comes down, she's like, here it is. And he's like, oh, I didn't even see it and stuff. And so she's like, okay, you want me to go bring it back? And he says, sure. So she goes into the bathroom, puts the mouthwash back, and this dude got his shirt off by the time she comes back out the bathroom, and he's blocking the doorway. And like I said, every time that she's with this guy, all I'm thinking is this guy any moment is gonna try to rape this woman. So anyway, he didn't, thank God, this episode. So she's like, sir, please let me out or whatever. But first she said, is there anything else you would like? And he said, oh, that's a loaded question. His little creepy, disgusting behind. So I really don't like him already. So anyway, so she's out. She gets out the door. Thankfully, he lets her out. And Sam is waiting like in the hallway. And he goes, is everything all right? And she says, yes. In my mind, I'm just like, girl, why can't you just tell Sam what the heck is going on? Because it seems like the White House staff, they kind of like, I'm saying, confide in each other or whatever. So I just didn't understand why she couldn't tell Sam what the heck was going on. Anyway, so next we got Don leaving his house to make his way to the White House. And Kyle is standing outside. So, Don is upset, of course. And he wonders, like, what in the world are you doing here? Like, he's asking Kyle, what are you doing here? And so Kyle's like, oh, I'm here to drive you to work. And so Don is so like frustrated with Kyle that he's like, listen, what you're doing is stalking, and I will drive myself to work. You just go on, right? But before he said that, Kyle says, you can just have me, assigned to another unit or whatever. And Don is like, I know what I can do. Don't tell me what I can do. But yeah, I will have you assigned. I think he said once he gets to the White House or something like that, I will have you assigned to another unit. So anyway, and he's like, just go on. I'll drive myself and don't follow me. All right. Next, we got the first family. They're having breakfast. Everybody except Gayle. And Hunter asked Jason how his first night in the White House was. And the boy had the nerve to say, creepy. Like, are you kidding me? You, of all people, is calling your first night creepy. You're using those words. Wow. You would know. Anyway, so when Jason asked his dad in return how was his night, Hunter says, pretty good. And Jason was like, yeah, I bet. And his mom is like, what do you mean by that, And so basically, long story short, Victoria and Hunter start pressing Jason about, exploring, because clearly he's done some type of exploring before. It more so sounds like he has a peeping Tom type of problem. Like I said, the kid is perverted. You can just tell. He's perverted, he's creepy, and he's sexually inappropriate towards others. You can see that already, right? So they're saying, this is not the governor's mansion. You know what I mean? This is the White House, and the Secret Service will let you know just how amazing they are, because Jason tried to be a little, slick with the mouth, talking about, oh yeah, how can I do that? The Secret Service is so amazing here. And the father was like, oh yeah, they'll show you just how amazing they are. Jason was like, okay, yes, sir. All right. So then Priscilla comes in and Victoria sends her to check on Gayle. And she says, if she don't answer the door, go into her room. So of course, Priscilla, she's not here for it. She don't want to, go check on no Gayle because she can't stand Gayle already. Gayle is very condescending towards her and very rude, but she does go and she does her duty. She goes to Gayle's room. She knocks on the door. But honestly, it looked like she kind of just knocked and then just went in. She didn't even like give Gayle a chance to be like, come in, you know? Anyway, so when she goes in, she sees Gayle topless and she's taking selfies. And Gayle is like, oh my gosh, get out of my room. Get out of my room. What are you doing in here? And so she tells her, you know, Gayle's like, if you tell anybody what you saw, I will have you fired and all that stuff. So she's trying to leave. Priscilla's like, oh yes ma'am, or whatever, but she's trying to leave. But then Gayle's like, what happened to that butler's son? He should be in jail. He's a terrible person, this and that. And then Priscilla's like, you know, I guess she must have made a face or whatever, or she was just like, mm-hmm. And Gayle's like, oh, you don't agree. And so, you know, Priscilla actually took a stance and was like, no, I don't agree, because I've known him since he was a kid. And I've never known him to do anything remotely close to harming anybody. And so Gayle is like, oh, well, you don't know him as well as you think you do. He's a terrible person. And so Gayle said, no, I do know him, okay? But who I didn't know was Emmett Till. And Gayle's like, who's that? And so Priscilla goes on to explain that Emmett Till was a young boy who was killed for doing something that he didn't do, right? He was accused of doing something he didn't do. And so it looked like it kind of resonated with Gayle. But then she's like, oh, I know who he is. Get out, right? Knowing daggone well she didn't know who the heck Emmett Till was. But she sure can go and be condescending and tell Priscilla that breakfast is spelled with a T and raped is spelled with an ED at the end and all of that stuff. All this condescending stuff. But she doesn't know her history clearly because it looked like she Googled who the heck Emmett Till was. Next, Sharon is at work. And she's clearly under a lot of stress because she's getting testy with one of the customers, right? And so there's a guy there, a co-worker. Either he's her co-worker or he's her manager or something like that. And, you know, he's kind of like telling her, you know, you're a bit short today and this and that. Is it because of your little... I forgot the word that he used, but he was throwing a dig at Barry. And she's like, stop talking about him like that, this and that. But you can clearly see that he has feelings for Sharon. So that might be a conflict in the future. We'll see where that goes, especially if Barry continues to treat Sharon the way he's treating her. She might fall for this guy, okay? So we'll see. We're going to have to keep an eye on that as well. All right, so next we got Richard, who makes his way back to the White House, and he asks Priscilla, has there been any mention of the incident with Barry and Gayle? And Priscilla says, no, it's like it never happens. So Gayle finally joins her family in the next scene, and she finally joins her family for breakfast, right? And Hunter tells Gayle that the boy who hurt you was going to get what's coming to him. And Gayle doesn't really have anything to say because in my mind, she feels bad because she just Googled Emmett Till. All right. But as the scene goes along, it makes me feel like I was wrong. Anyway, so then Richard comes in and introduces himself as the head butler, and Hunter stands up and almost look like he want to get in Richard's face and blame him for what Barry did or what, you know, his daughter accused Barry of doing, right? So, right, like while this whole showdown and this little conversation is going on between the president and Richard, Gayle's sitting over there looking sad with her head down, and Victoria's over there with a smirk. And I'm just like, when is Victoria going to say something? Because she just really sat there and watched the whole thing play out and didn't say anything. But I guess she played her position and she let, you know, the president have his role, play his role, which is head of state or whatever, right? And just let him be in his moment without her saying anything. Okay, so all I could think of, though, the whole time was, girl, just tell the truth, Gayle. Sheesh, tell the truth. But that didn't happen. Anyway, Victoria's looking at Gayle with the side eye, and Gayle is just sitting there being quiet, right? While the father is going on and on, talking about your son needs to pay and blah, blah, blah. And eventually he tells him, you're fired. Okay. So he tells Richard he's fired and Richard leaves. And now Victoria's like, are you going to tell the truth? She's saying to Gayle, are you going to tell your father the truth? And at this point, I really did think that Gayle was gonna, say something, but she didn't. I thought her sad face meant something because she was just sitting there quiet. So I thought maybe she was thinking, like, right? Like maybe she's going to open her mouth and maybe she's going to finally come clean and tell her father, stop. You know what I mean? But no, she didn't. And so her mother's like, you are really evil. You are cold. You really was going to take this to your grave, huh? This lie. And the father's like, what are you talking about? And you never believe her. And she's like, don't be dumb, Hunter. Like, she's lying. This place has surveillance cameras all over the place. Why don't you just, look at the cameras? And Gayle is like, even in my room? So now this gets Gayle's attention. And now she wants to confess, right? Because she thinks cameras are in her room. She confessed, and it looks like Hunter feels a little stupid, and he's angry. And he's like, why would you lie about something like that? And he sends Gayle to her room. All right. Then while Gayle is gone, she goes to her room. Victoria tells Hunter to get Richard back here, and you apologize to him. That man has worked here for years. And, Hunter, clearly seemingly defeated in the moment, he just agrees. He says, yes, I will. And then he says, are there really cameras all over? And she's like, wouldn't you like to know? I gotta say, it may be too early for this because the show is new, but I am liking Victoria, okay? That's my girl for right now. Anyway, so next we have Kyle checking on Bobby, and he wants to know if Jerry got anything out of Bobby, okay? And Jerry's like, no. So Kyle says, okay, you know what? Let everybody leave, and I'm going to do what I have to do to get Bobby to talk. So he goes in there with Bobby, and he's just starts kind of like, I'm sorry that I keep using the word creepy and stuff, but he seems a little creepy too. Like he's over there kissing the guy and, and it's like, if this is not really your guy, your boyfriend or whatever, you're just kissing him. Is that your way to kind of force the guy to talk or something like, is that what you do? Because Jerry said to him, he said, you always do get them to talk. And so when he went in there and he kind of kissed him on the lips and started to kind of like fondle him and stuff, I said, is that the way that he gets people to talk? Whatever. So anyway, it turns out that Bobby knows Kyle because he says, you need to get me out of here, Kyle. And so Kyle kept saying, what, did you tell them anything? What did you say? And Bobby kept saying, no, I didn't tell them anything. And he was very adamant about saying nothing happened between him and Lily. And Kyle was saying, so you didn't go there to have sex with her? And so Bobby says, no, he keeps denying it. So in my mind, I'm wondering, why is he protecting Lily? Because he seemed so forceful and thirsty. But I guess that was because he was put up to that, to being that way because of Kyle, I'm guessing. So we'll see the story unfold and see what happens. Anyway, Kyle winds up setting Bobby free. And then I'm just wondering how Kyle is supposed to explain that to Dawn. Like, you let this guy walk, or how is he going to explain that? So anyway, next we have Barry and Nancy at the court filing a report against the Rakadouchis. And Nancy tells Barry that she knows he's angry, because I guess he's in that mood. He's kind of lashing out at everyone. So she says, you know what? I know you're angry, and so instead of being angry at Sharon or taking your anger out on Sharon, why don't you just tell me how you feel? Because it's my fault. So he does. He tells her how he feels and this and that. And I'm not even going to go into all of that. But then the investigator comes back and she shows them a picture. So the picture that the investigator shows Nancy and Barry looks like it's Ruth, and it looks like she's dead, okay? And her face looks all messed up from what I could see. And they're like, what happened to her, So it does look like she's dead. I don't want to say she's dead and then she winds up not being dead, but taking that picture of her doesn't make sense if she's not. And so all Barry wants to know is, then where's my daughter at? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's even worse. Like, if the mother is dead, where the heck is the daughter? Because you would think that, okay, it's still something to panic about, but then she's with her mom, but now she's not. So that's how the episode ended. And we're going to see where we go from here. I really want to see how far they're going to take this whole Callie missing thing and the whole Rakadouchi thing. I mean, I honestly can't see past it. I don't know where they're going with this. And it's new. I can tell you this. To me, it's pretty original. I mean, I don't watch the haves and the have-nots and of the other Tyler Perry shows, so I wouldn't know if this is something that's familiar or not. So it's looking pretty new to me. For those of you that do watch the haves and the have-nots and things like that, and if Loving You is wrong, did they ever bring up some type of cult or anything in the other shows? You know, is this something original? Because it's kind of cool, you know, it's interesting. But anyway, that was my review. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next video. You guys take care of yourself and be blessed. Bye-bye.